GCIT News Update. As promised, we're going to go live to the courtroom of the Switchblade Kid murder trial, where the judge has begun to give his closing remarks to the jury.
Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have heard a long and complex case, gentlemen. It is now your duty to sit down to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, jurors. The jury will retire.
And there you have it, guys and girls. You heard it first right here on 1080 on your dial. And now, a word from our sponsors.
You worked too hard and ate too much. The cheesecake made you greedy. But you're 18 minutes and stomach here. This message from old Speedy. Apple business. Business. Oh, what a relief it is. Some club business. Oh, what a relief it is.
Thank you, but no.
You know something?
I know a lot of things. I'm an advertiser.
You know it's hot.
You know, I never would have known that if you hadn't told me. Would you? All I've done all day is sweat.
Bet you weren't sweating like that kid who was tried.
You think they'd at least air condition this place? I almost dropped dead in court.
My taxes are high enough.
This should go by fast anyway.
It is hot.
All right, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, we'll be right outside. Just knock.
You think they put air conditioning? Did they lock that door?
Yes, they did.
Who do they think we are, crooks?
They lock us up for a little while.
And they locked that kid up forever, and that's okay by me.
I never knew they did that.
Sure, they locked the door. What did you think?
I just didn't know it. Never occurred to me.
Shall we all admit right now that it's hot and humid and our tempers are short?
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
I wonder what's going on when I'm out in the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, my job could be gone. The whole company, too. They aren't going to like this.
Well, I think this is our duty.
I didn't object to doing my duty. I just mentioned that I might not have a job by the time I get back.
Ask him to hire you. He's rich. Look at the suit.
Is it custom tailor?
Yes, it is.
I have an uncle who's a tailor.
How does he do?
Not too well. You know a friend of his that's a friend of my uncle, the tailor? Well, he wanted to be on my place on the jury.
Well, why didn't you let him? I would have done anything to miss this.
He can get caught or something, but it was fine, you pay for anything like that. Anyway, so this friend of his was on jury once about 10 years ago, and a case just about like this one.
So what happened?
We let him off reasonable doubt, and about 8 years later they found out he actually done it anyway. A guilty man, a murderer, was turned loose on the streets.
Did they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be held in double jeopardy unless it's a hung jury. They can't try a man twice for the same crime.
Well, that isn't gonna happen here.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. You ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess that's how you.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, I suppose you can't say anything against it.
How'd you like the business about that knife? Did you ever hear a phonier story?
Well, look, you gotta expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
He bought a switch knife. That knife.
Then he lost
A hole in his pocket.
a hole in his fire.
Awful way to kill your father and knife in his chest.
Look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
Flu. These hot weather colds can kill you.
I had one last summer while I was on vacation.
All right, let's take these.
Yeah, you're right. This better by quick. I have tickets to Carousel tonight. I must be the only guy in town who hasn't seen it. Okay, Your Honor, start the show.
How about sitting down? The lady at the window. How about sitting down?
I'm sorry.
It's tough to figures. Kid kills his father better. Just like that. Well, that's the element. That the kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
There are better proofs than some emotion you may have. Perhaps a dislike for some group.
Hey, we all agreed it was hot.
And that our tempers would get short.
That's if we disagree, but this is open and shut. Let's get it done.
Right, I mean, we can handle this any way you want. I'm not going to make any rules or anything. If you want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote now and see how we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's winning.
Right, let's vote now.
All right, let us vote.
Anyone doesn't want to vote?
Yeah, it's easy.
All right, all those voting guilty, raise your hand.
not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, she doesn't know.
In 6 days, I can learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't believe it's as simple as ABC.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life.
What does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he's guilty. Are we to vote on his face?
You sat right in court and heard the same things I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You can see it.
Where do you look to see who is a killer?
Oh.
I'd like to know what the facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe you know something I don't know.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree with you that the kid is guilty, but I think that we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right, they proved it a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe that stupid story he told?
Now.
Do you believe the kid's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes guilty. It's not that easy for me to raise my hand and send a kid off to die without even talking about
But
it.
who said it was easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
I'm not necessarily.
I think the kid's guilty. You couldn't change my mind. You've gone for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind.
Just what are you thinking of?
I want to talk for a while. Look, the kid's been taken around all his life, living in the slums. His mother died since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know why some kids get that way? It's because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. I think we owe him a few words, that's all.
Alright, it's hard. Sure, it was hard for me. Everything I've got, I fought for. I worked my way through college. That was a long time ago, and perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
I've been kicked around too. Just wait till you worked in the ad agency, the big one that buys the advertising walks in. We all know.
In my country in Europe, kicking was a science, but let's try to find something better than that.
I don't mind telling you this, sister. We don't owe the kid a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know how much the trial costs? He's lucky he got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here, and you're not going to tell us we're supposed to believe him, knowing what he is. I lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a man to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
It says it's very dangerous.
Look, I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to be able to behave like civilized individuals.
Right.
Oh, all right, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
If we're going to discuss this case, why let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good idea. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
If you ladies and gentlemen don't mind, I'm going to close the window. It was blowing on my neck.
If you don't mind, I'd like to keep the window open.
But it was blowing on me.
Okay, don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's hot.
I was very uncomfortable.
But there are 12 of us in this room, and it's the only window that opens, if you don't
I
mind.
have some rights too.
Well, so do the rest of us.
Couldn't you trade chairs with someone?
Alright, I will open the window if someone will trade.
Take my chair.
Now we get back to the case.
Yeah, let's.
I may have an idea here. I'm just thinking out loud. It seems to me that it's up to us to convince this woman that we're right and she's wrong. Maybe if we talk it out for a minute or two, try it out for size.
Sounds fair enough.
Very fair.
So as we go once around the table.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. We'll start with you.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. In what way is it obvious? I mean, then nobody proved otherwise. Nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof rests on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. It's in the Constitution. The Fifth Amendment, you've heard of it.
Everyone has.
Well, sure, I know what it is. I think he's guilty. No reason, just guilty. There's a life at stake here.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number 1, let's take the old man who lived on the 2nd floor right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the boy say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling, ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
To the corner of Princeton Top death around midnight.
Right, what else do you want?
Something doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
He didn't have any ticket stub.
Who keeps the ticket stub at the movies?
That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't remember him.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? Her testimony don't prove it nothing does.
That's right, she saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Just a minute. Here's a woman lying in bed. Can't sleep. It's hot, you know? Anyway, she gets up, she looks out the window, and she sees the kid stick the knife to the father.
How can she be sure it was a kid when she saw the passing windows of an elevated train?
She's known the kid all his life. His window's right opposite the person across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay, and they proved in court that you can look through a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you telling us a minute or two ago that you can't trust them, that you can't believe them?
So?
Then I'd like to ask you something. How can we believe her? She's one of them, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart lady.
Take it easy.
Come on, sit down. What are you letting her get you all upset for? Relax.
Listen, they did take us out to the woman's room, and we looked through the windows of the passing L train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what happened on the other side?
I wasn't able to see as well as they told me I'd be able to see, but I did see what happened on the other side.
You see. Do you see?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about you?
Well, I started to be convinced. You know, with the testimony from those people across the hall, didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock? I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice and saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I never said it proves anything.
Anything else?
No.
Most of it's been said already, but we can talk all day about this, but I think we're wasting our time.
I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car, was arrested for mugging. Didn't they say he stabbed somebody in the arm?
They did.
Yeah, he stabbed somebody in the arm. At age 15, he was in reform school.
And they sent him to reform school for stabbing someone.
This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
Well, so would I on a kid like that.
You're right. It's the kids, the way they are, you know. They just don't listen. I got a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed. I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you. I'm going to bust you open in little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, you know. Haven't seen him in 3 years. Rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out and they just... All right, let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's the product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it, so do you. The kids who come out of the slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of them, believe me.
I've lived in a slum all my life.
Now wait a
I used to
second.
play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Well, that's very reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on now, lady. He didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive.
Who did he mean?
It's not a that is sensitive.
Let's stop bickering.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn.
All right. Somehow, I felt the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. Too many questions were left unasked.
While it doesn't change my opinion about the guilt of the kids, still, I agree with you. The defense counsel was bad.
So,
This is a point.
what about facts?
So many questions were left unanswered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, that cute little switch knife. You know, the one that the fine, upright kid admitted buying?
All right, let's talk about it. See the knife, Mrs. Horner?
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again. What do you think?
The lady has a right to see the exhibits and evidence.
Okay with me.
The knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence, don't you agree?
I do.
Now let's get to the sequence of events right as they relate to the switch knife.
The boy admits going out of his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
I think everyone agrees it's an unusual knife. Pretty hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper that identified the knife said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it?
As a present to our friend of his, he said.
Am I right so far?
Right?
You bet he's right. He knows what he's talking about.
Next, the boy claims on his way home the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. Then he never saw it again. Now there's the story, gentlemen. You know what actually happened? The boy took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it and he remembered to wipe away the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified that night. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying it's possible the boy lost the knife, and that someone with a similar knife stabbed the father. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life. Neither has the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, what is this? Who do you think you are?
Same knife.
I know what you're saying.
I got it from a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. It cost $2.
Now you listen to me. You
I'm
pulled a real smart trick here, lady, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that, so what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. And maybe he did lose the knife. And maybe he did go to the movies. And maybe the reason the cashier didn't remember him was because he snuck in and was ashamed to say so. Is there anyone here who never snuck into the movies once or twice when they were young?
I think
Really, not even once?
the cat movies.
Oh.
And maybe he did go to the movies, and maybe he didn't. And he may have lied. Do you think he lied?
Now that's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
Do you think he lied?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you?
I don't know.
Now wait a second, what are you, the boy's lawyer? Listen, there are 11 of us who still think he's guilty. You're alone. If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, the kid will be tried again and found guilty as sure as he was born.
You're probably right.
So what are we doing? We can be here all night.
It is only one night a man may die.
That's also right.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
Right, let's get going here.
How do you like this lady?
Well, what do you have to say? You're the one old enough to show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy is guilty.
There's a doubt in mind.
But you haven't really presented anything to us. That makes it possible for us to understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the kid shriek it out.
The woman across the L tracks, she saw it.
We know he bought the switch knife that night, yeah, but we don't know where he was at the movies.
Earlier that night, the kid and his father had a fight.
He's been a violent kid all the way. Now that doesn't prove anything.
Still, you know
I've
that.
got a proposition to make. I want you 11 to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. And if there's still 11 votes guilty, then we'll take it a guilty verdict right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Everyone agree?
I certainly do.
Let's roll it.
Yeah, seriously.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
That's 6.
Please, 6 guilty. 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 Not guilty.
Oh, come on.
Guilty.
How do you like that?
Who was it? I think we have the right to know.
Who did it? What idiot changed their vote?
Is that any way to talk about a man's life?
Whose life are you talking about? The life of a dead man or the life of a murderer?
I still want to know. Who?
So do I.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
No one looked while we did it, but now I want to know.
A secret ballot. We agreed on this point, no? If the jury wants to remain a secret, then the
What do
jury
you
will
mean? There are no secrets in here. I know who it was. What's the matter with you? You come in here and vote guilty, and then this slick woman starts to tear your heart out with stories about a poor little boy who couldn't just help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. If that is the most sickening bullcrap.
I agree with you that the man is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it. Be fair. That's just what I'm saying. We're trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs. And all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales?
Now just a minute.
Are you listening to me?
Let's
I've
try
had...
to get
It isn't organized, but let's try to be civilized.
Please, I would like to say something here. I have always thought a person was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. This is why I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Do you disagree with us?
Usually I would. In this case, I agree with you. But the point I wish to make that in my own country, I am sure.
Oh, now what? We're gonna listen to the whole history of your country.
It's always wise to bear in mind what has happened in other countries where people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I want to know what made you change your vote.
I want to know too, you haven't told us yet.
Why do you think I did change my
Because
vote?
I do not get on with
For
it.
her to tell you she didn't change her vote, I did.
I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry. Okay, now why'd you change your vote?
You would like to know why.
Let me tell you why the kid's a murderer first.
Thank you. This woman chose to stand alone against us, and that takes a great deal of courage, even if you believe in something very strongly. She left the verdict up to us, and she gambled for support, so I gave it for her, and now I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If the speech is over, let's go on.
If there was anything in the kid's favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I, but clutching at straws.
As a kid, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out, but she'll come around. She's got to. Fundamentally, she's a very reasonable woman.
I guess so.
They haven't come up with one real fact that's back for the not guilty verdict.
It's hard, you know?
Yes, it is. And what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really means?
What's a reasonable doubt?
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. Without it, everyone would just start knifing people.
Not much doubt here.
Those two individuals seem to think so. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
You do hear stories about innocent people who have gone to jail or death sometimes. Then years later, things turn up.
Then on the other hand, there are some killers that get turned loose, and they go and do it again. They squeeze out on some technicality and kill again.
Look, lady, now that we've kind of cooled off, I was a little bit excited a minute ago. You know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty. Nothing personal.
Okay.
Look, supposing you answer me this. If the kid didn't kill him, then who did?
As far as I know, we're supposed to decide whether or not the killer child is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motive.
Okay, but who else had a motive?
The kid's father was long years, maybe no grudge.
Remember, is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Everyone's a lawyer. Suppose you explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
It's not so easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. You know, a feeling perhaps you wouldn't understand.
No, I don't.
A feeling what? We're going to spend the whole night talking about your feelings. What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Look, the old man heard the boy yell, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling, and he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds after that.
Where is the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right, and let's not forget about the woman across the street. She looked into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it!
Now, if that's not enough for
It's
you,
not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like her? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a moving elevated train. The train had 5 cars. She saw the killing through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembered the most insignificant details.
Well, what do you have to say about that?
Doesn't sound right to me.
Well, suppose if you think on it. Lend me your pencil. Let's play some tic-tac-toe. We might as well pass the time.
This isn't a game!
Now, wait a
This is
minute.
a man's life!
Who do you think you
Alright,
are?
let's take it easy.
I've got a good mind to walk around this table and slap her.
Now, please, I don't want any fights in here.
Did you see her? The nerve of this lady. The absolute nerve of this lady.
All right, forget it. It don't mean anything.
How about sitting down?
This isn't a game. Who does she think she is?
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
Alright. How long does it take an elevated train going to possibly a point?
what does that have to do with anything?
How long would it take? Yes.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would
I
I.
don't think they mentioned it.
What do you think?
About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe.
I say that was fair enough. Anyone else?
About 10 seconds, perhaps.
About 10 seconds, yes.
Alright, we'll all agree. 10 seconds. What are you getting in?
This. An elevated train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. The given point is the window in the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out the window and touch the L, right?
Yeah, that's right. I tried it.
So,
Now let me ask you this. Does anyone here live next to the L tracks?
I lived close to them.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I live right by them. When the train goes by and your windows open, the noise is almost unbearable. You can barely hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
The old man who went downstairs heard the boy say, I'm going
He didn't say anything. He screamed it.
The old man heard the boy scream, I'm going to kill you. And then 1 second later heard the body fall. 1 second, that's testimony, right?
Right.
The woman across the street looked through the last 2 windows of the passing L and saw the body fall.
Right.
So, the last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, or 2 seconds per car. The train had been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds and maybe more before the body fell, according to the woman. The train had been going by the old man's window as he was hearing the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." He couldn't have heard it with an L train going by.
What do you mean? Sure he could have heard it.
With an L train going by.
He said the boy yelled it out.
They make a lot of noise.
It's enough for me.
It's enough for me too.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man didn't hear it. I mean, with the L noise.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Something doesn't seem right.
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. What's he got to lie for?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Maybe you should send one into a newspaper. They pay $2.
What does that have to do with a man's life? Why might the old man have lied? You have the right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket under the arm was split. Did you notice that? He was a very old man who carried 2 canes and wore a split jacket. I think I know him better than anybody else here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who's been nothing his entire life. Never had his name recognized, never had his name in the big newspapers. Nobody knows who he is after 75 years! This is a sad thing. This is an important thing.
And you're trying to tell us he lied about a thing like this just so he could be important?
No, the old man wouldn't really lie, but he'd make himself believe he saw the boy's face and make himself believe he heard the boy say those words.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
You must be making it up. People don't just lie about things like
He made
that.
himself believe he was telling the truth.
What do you know about
I am the same man!
I think we all understand now. Thank you.
If you want to admit you're a liar, that's alright by me.
No, that's too much.
He's a liar. He just told us so.
He did not say he was a liar. He was explaining.
Didn't you just admit that you're a liar?
Please, he was explaining the circumstances in which the old man might have lied. There's a difference.
A liar is a liar. That's all there is to it.
Please, have some compassion.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, we have our job and her duty here.
I think they've covered it.
I hope we have.
All right, anything else?
Cough drop?
No, thank you.
Anybody with a cough drop?
I think we ought to get on with it.
I'll take one. Thank you. Now, I think we proved the old man could not have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear her through anyway.
But supposing he did hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," this phrase, how often have each of us used it? Probably hundreds. If you do that once, Virginia, I'm going to murder you. Come on, Rocky, kill him. We say it every day. It doesn't really mean we're going to kill someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
One thing more, the phrase was, "I'm going to kill you," and the boy screamed it out at the top of his lungs.
That's the way I understand it.
Now don't try and tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
And how they mean.
Now let me ask you something. Do you really think the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood would hear? No, I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right, he's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak with English.
The boy is probably
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty. Yes, I'm sure.
Vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind.
I think there's a doubt.
Where? What is the doubt?
There's the knife.
Of course.
She talked you into believing a fairy tale.
Go on, give us the reason.
The old man too. Maybe he didn't lie, but then just maybe he did. Maybe the old man just doesn't like the kid.
What are you basing it on? Stories that woman made up? She ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. She'd make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why did he bring up these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Right. You sit in here and pull stories out of thin air, and now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, 15 seconds, watching the kid beat it downstairs.
That's a testimony.
And he swore to this. Yeah, he swore to this only so he could feel important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Brand walk, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where's the bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
No, down the hall somewhere. I want to send a man off to die. He was down the hall somewhere.
I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to see a diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we have them run the entire trial over again so you can get everything straight?
No, the bedroom's down the hall somewhere. Do you know exactly where it is? Please. Her man's life is at stake.
It's
Mrs. Foreman.
I heard you.
What's this one for? How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one too.
So do I. And I want to stop wasting time.
Are we about to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body is found?
No, we're going to find out how a man who had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and wants to repair canes can get to the front door in 15
He
seconds.
said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of thing.
He said 15. He was very sure of it.
He was an old man. You saw that. Half the time he was confused. How can he be positive about anything? Well, you know.
No, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Don't you want it?
No, that's it. Thank you.
That's true, that's my job.
You want this?
Yes.
Yeah, do me a favor. Wake me up when this is over.
I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Now enough is enough.
Some of us are interested. Go on.
This is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the outlines. The bedroom, another bedroom, living room, bathroom, kitchen. Here's the hall, and here's the front door to the apartment. And here are the steps. The old man was in bed. Instead, he got up, walked out into the hall, walked down the hall, opened the door, just in time to see the kid racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's the story.
Because that's what happened.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall. The bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from the bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet, 6 inches. He says he got up, walked 12 feet, went out to the hall, walked 43 feet, down the hall, and opened the door. All in 15 seconds. Do you think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry. He did hear the scream.
You can only walk very slowly. It hasn't helped him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like it's a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who uses a cane, it's a long walk.
What are you doing?
I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see how long it took him. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bed.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if we can see it, this is a very important point.
It's a ridiculous waste of
Let her
time.
do it.
I can't see any harm in being foolish, but let her go ahead.
And your interpreters? This is the bedroom. This is the door of the bedroom. How far would you say from here to that chair over there?
I'd say it was about 20 feet. Just about.
20 feet's fair enough. From here to that chair and back is a little bit under 40 feet. A little bit shorter than the hall the man walked through, wouldn't you say?
A few feet, maybe.
This is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
You can't stop her.
According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We have the time. Does anyone have a clock with 7 hands?
I have.
When you want me to start, stamp your foot. That'll be the sound of the body fall.
We'll time it from there.
Supposing he kept his cane to the side of the bed. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm waiting for the hand to get to 60.
Speed it up. He walked twice as fast as that.
This I think is more quickly than he walked into the courtroom.
No, it isn't.
If you want me to speed it up, I will.
Speed it up a little.
Yeah, he's still so much faster than that. Tick tock. Speed it up.
Hurry it up, please.
Stop. Right. What's the time?
15, 20, 30, 35, 39 seconds exactly.
That can't be. She set this up.
Great. Okay, you know there's something wrong.
Seconds, 39.
The old cripple swore in his oath that it was 15.
She may have been a little bit off on the speed that the old cripple moved at, but 24 seconds off. Well, now you know.
Far be it from you to call anyone a liar. Even allowing quite a difference in speed between you and the old man, there's still quite a...
Quite a discrepancy.
It was my guess the old man moved down to the hall and assumed it was the kid.
I think that's possible.
Assumed? Now listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake.
What's a dishonesty?
Tell her. You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you make up these wild stories, and you've got these soft-hearted old saps listening to you. Well, I'm not. I'm getting real sick of you. What's the matter with you people? The kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers.
Our fingers! Are we his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you like to pull the switch.
I don't see why we have to behave like children do.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is a remarkable thing about democracy that we are, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have not known before. We have nothing to gain or lose by a verdict. This is one of the reasons we are thrown. We should not make this a personal thing.
Thank you.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad that we're going to be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere.
No, we're somewhere. Dead and buried.
Maybe.
Who's got an idea?
I think we should try and vote. Mrs. Coleman?
Or with me, anyone doesn't want to vote?
Let's vote.
Yes, vote.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want an open ballot. Let's call out our votes. I want to see who stands where.
Alright, I guess we'll just call out jury numbers. I vote guilty. Number 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12.
Guilty.
That's 6 to 6.
I tell you, the crime is being committed right in this room.
Vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare this a hung jury. There is no point in going on anymore.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind, and why you changed your mind, and why you did. There are 6 people here who think that we may be turning a murderer loose into the streets. Emotion won't do. Why?
It would seem that the old man did not see the boy run down the stairs. I do not think that it is likely that the old man heard someone scream, "I'm going to kill you." Old men dream. And even if he did hear someone say that they were going to kill, then we would have the authority of this man to prove that it might not really mean that he's going to kill.
Why don't we just take this to the judge and let the kid take his chances with another 12 jurors?
6 to 6, I don't think we'll agree on anything.
It's got to be unanimous, and we're never going to convince her.
At first, I was alone. Now 5 others agreed. There's a reasonable doubt.
You can't ever convince me that there's a doubt because I know there isn't no doubt.
I'll tell you what. Maybe we're a hung jury. It happens sometimes.
We are not a hung jury.
But we are! Right now, a perfect balance. Let's just take it to the judge.
If there's a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
There is a doubt in my mind.
Maybe we should vote.
What do you mean vote?
Not again.
I still want to know, vote on what?
Are we not a hung jury?
You mean we vote yes, we are a hung jury, and if we vote no, we are not a hung jury.
That's just what I was thinking.
We can't even agree whether a window should be open or not.
We'll make it a majority. Majority wins.
If 7 or more of us vote yes, that we are a hung jury, then we take it to the judge and tell him that we are a hung jury.
Right, if 7 or more vote no, then we aren't a hung jury and we go on discussing it.
It doesn't seem right to me.
It's the only solution.
I agree. It's the only way.
Anything to end this.
Are we agreed then? 7 more votes and we take it to the judge.
Let's call our votes out.
Alright, I vote yes, we are a hung jury. 2,
No.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
No.
6,
No.
7,
Yes.
8,
No.
9,
Oh.
10,
Yes.
11,
No.
12,
Yes.
6 to 6.
We're not a hung jury.
I went along with the majority vote on this question, and I didn't agree with voting that way. Not really, and I still don't. So I'm changing my vote. I say no, we are not a hung jury. I believe that the boy is guilty beyond reasonable doubt. There are some things, and I want to find out from those people that change their mind.
Then we are not hung jury and we go on.
Good, we go on.
Why did you change your mind?
She seems so sure, and she made a number of good points, while he only gets mad and insults everybody.
Does the anger and the insult change the guilt of the kid? He did do it. Are you going to turn a murderer loose because one of the jurors gets angry when he thinks a murderer is being turned loose?
That's true.
There is a doubt.
I don't think so. The track is straight in front of the window. Let's take that point. So the L train would have made a low rumbling noise. L trains screech when they go around curves. So it is possible that the old man heard a scream which is high pitched. And it's his attendant and they have been walled.
Good. That's it.
And the old man may have been wrong with the time, but right about whom he saw. Please remember that there weren't any fingerprints on the knife, and it is summer, so gloves seem unlikely.
Now I want you to listen to this man. He's got the goods.
And it may have taken a few seconds to get her handkerchief out and wipe the fingerprints away.
This is the point.
Why don't we just time this one to see?
Just what are we timing?
Yes, let's be exact, please.
I'm saying that the old man downstairs may have been wrong with the time, right about whom he saw. Now, it may have taken the murderer about 39 seconds to wipe away the fingerprints and get downstairs to the place where the old man saw him. The boy, that is.
This is right.
We reconstructed the man getting out of bed and going to his door and time that. Now let's reconstruct the actual crime.
Well as we can reconstruct it.
I think a murderer could use 30 to 40 seconds pretty easily at this point.
Let's reconstruct the killer.
Yes, let's.
Here, you do the stabbing.
No, I'll do it.
Now, why don't you be the one that gets stabbed? You're younger than I am. And don't forget, you take 1 second to fall.
And he was found on his side, his right side. So fall and roll onto your right side. If someone hits another person enough to kill them, don't you think it's reasonable to assume that the murderer will look at his victim for a second or two?
Divorce yourself on this particular case. It's just human nature.
Yes, it seems reasonable.
Hey, wait a minute. He falls and ends up on his right side. The father did, but stabbing someone isn't like shooting him, even when it's right in the heart. He would have moved around for a few seconds, lying there on the floor, writhing maybe.
That's quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen in his system to carry him out for 2 or 3 seconds, I should think.
Wouldn't the mother have cried out?
Maybe the kid held his mouth.
Also, there's another point we might bring out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe away the fingerprints after killing someone, well, that person is also clear enough mentally to look around the room, see if there are any other clues. It would only be for a second or two, but still we will look.
This gets better and better.
We're trying to make it clear. One doesn't talk quality when murder is involved. Well, let's do it.
About this, the fingerprints. If you whip the fingerprints off the knife, what about the doorknobs? If I saw a man coming into my house, a man that hated me, and he was wiping the doorknob with a handkerchief as he came in, I'd get an uneasy feeling. The doorknob's supposed to be wiped after the crime, and this too would take some time.
You timed the last one. Why don't you time this one too?
All right.
Stamp your foot when you want me to start.
I want the hand to be at 60.
I'm going to kill you. He would have wiped both knobs. Stop.
20 years, 20, 25, 29, about 29.5 seconds, I'd say.
And whoever did murder the old man, and I think it was the kid, still had to run down the hall and down the stairs, at least 1 flight of stairs. You see, the old man may have been wrong about the time. But in view of this, I think it's quite reasonable to assume that he did see the kid.
So no, both time sequences check. The one you did and the one we just did. Well, with running downstairs and everything, it does pretty much check out on time.
Sure, he was an old man who wanted attention. He's probably right, but remember, the man feels the same way as all of us do. A man's life is at stake.
So the story of the old man may well be true.
Except for the fact that he absolutely swore under oath that it was 15 seconds.
We all agree it was about 25 to 40 seconds later.
You are now admitting that the old man lied in one case and told the truth in another. I do admit that this does tend to confirm the old man's story, but he is now a proven liar by your own admission.
That may be true, and the old man lied in part, but I think go take my vote once more. Guilty.
What about you? What do you think?
Well, I thought guilty at first, then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty.
And what about you?
No, I am not real down.
I'd say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make some sense in here.
Seems to be about 9 guilty to 3 not guilty.
Now one more question about the old man. Does anyone live in an apartment building?
I don't know what you're thinking, but I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
I do not live in a tenement, but it is close, and there's just enough light in this room to see the steps. No more. The light bulbs are so small, and this murder took place in a tenement. Remember how we stumbled on the steps?
The police officers use big bulbs and flashlights, remember?
The old man who misjudged the time by 20 seconds on this we all agree. This old man looked down the dark hallway of the tenement and recognized a running figure.
He was 100% wrong about who the kid was.
Then couldn't he be 100% wrong about who he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of. You're making it up out of thin air.
We're a hung jury. Let's be honest about it.
So you truly feel there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Yeah, I do.
I beg your pardon, but maybe you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this woman? She comes over here running for her life, and before she can take a big breath of fresh air, she's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of her.
No one here is asking where.
Well, I was born right here and here.
Or where your father came from.
Maybe we should take a few tips from the people running here. Perhaps they've learned to something that we don't know. We're not so perfect.
Please, I am used to this. It's all right. Thank you.
It's not all right.
I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear?
Yes, that's what I want.
Let's stop arguing. You have something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me a little. This whole business about the stabling and how it was made, the downward angle video.
Don't tell me we're going to start that again. They went over it in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father was 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. It's a very awkward thing to stab down to the chest of someone who is half foot taller than you are.
Listen, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again. I'm going to give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay. Now watch this. I don't want to have to do it again. Is that 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay, let it be more.
That's not funny.
What's the matter with you?
Now just calm down. Nobody's hurt, are they?
No, nobody's hurt.
Alright. Here's your angle. Down and in. Take a look at it. That's how I'd stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Did you ever stab a man?
Of course not.
Did you?
Alright, let's not be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Then where did you get all your information about how it's done?
What do you mean? It's just common sense.
Did you ever see a man get stabbed?
No.
Now let me ask you something. The boy was an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to reform school. Isn't that so?
That's right.
Now, look at this. Doesn't this look like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking them for?
Wait a minute. What's the matter with me? Give me that knife.
Did you ever see a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard, on my stoop, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. It's funny that I didn't think of it before. I guess you'd try to forget those things. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife would never have stabbed downward. You don't handle a switch knife that way. You use it underhanded.
Then he couldn't have made the wound that killed the father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the wound, but it's not likely. Not if he'd ever had any experience with switch knives, and we know that the kid had a lot of experience with switch knives.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. You've given us a lot of mumbo jumbo.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I don't know.
What about you?
I'll tell you what I think. I think we're wasting our time. We're getting nowhere and fast. Let's just wrap up and go home.
Before we decide anything else, I want to try and put this together.
This should be good.
She has the right. Let her go ahead.
Do you want me to time this too?
Let's hear her.
Look, I'm in advertising. I'm used to the big shots trying to pull things together. Let's chip up a few shots and see if any of them land on the green.
I want you all to look at this logically and consistently.
We have guilty.
I want to know, is the kid smart or is he dumb?
What do you mean?
The kid was an experienced knife fighter. On the night of the murder, he bought a knife, a switch knife. It would then take a very stupid kid to go and murder a man, his father, with an instrument that everyone would associate with the kid.
I quite agree. He's dumb.
However, if he's dumb, then why did he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make with a knife? To murder a man must take great emotion, great hatred, and he would handle it as best he could. And a trained knife fighter would handle it as he had been trained, underhand. And a man who had not been trained would go overhand. But the kid is being very smart. Everyone knows he's an experienced knife fighter. So he's smart enough to make the kind of wound that an amateur would make. This man's a smart man. Smart enough to wipe fingerprints away. Perhaps even smart enough to wait until an L train is going by in order to cover the noise. Now, is the kid smart or is he dumb?
Hey, wait a minute. You can't ask us
The
questions
woman
like...
across from the L tracks was able to see the murder through the L train. It's conceivable that somebody on the L train could have seen the murder as
A
well.
possibility, but no one that we know of.
Taking off the stupid man to take that chance to commit a murder as the L train was going by.
Exactly. A dumb man, a very stupid man, a man swept by emotion. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't even know the train was going by. And whoever did murder the father did it as best he could.
So,
The kid is dumb enough to do everything to associate himself with a switch knife. A switch knife murder. And then a moment later, smart? The kid is smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. And yet, at the same instant, he's dumb enough to do that killing as an L train was going by. And then a moment midnight, and then smart 1 second, and then dumb a few seconds, and then smart again, and then once again he becomes stupid. So stupid that he does not think of a good alibi. To make the kid guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. There's a doubt.
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man absolutely swore it was 15 seconds. He insisted that it was 15 seconds.
Does the old man lie half the time and then tell the truth half the time?
To make the kid guilty, you have to say he's smart, then dumb, then smart and dumb, and so on. And to make the kid guilty, you have to say the man lies half the time, and the other half the time tells the truth. You can't reasonably doubt.
I'm still of unreasonable doubt.
I think I am too.
I'm gonna call for a vote.
Another vote has been called for. This way is a show of hands. Everyone voting not guilty, raise your hands. 9. All those voting guilty? 3. Vote is 9 to 3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you people. How can you believe this kid is innocent? You know how those people are. I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is, and let me tell you, they don't need a real big reason to kill someone either. They get drunk and bang. Someone's lying in the gutter. Nobody's blaming them. That's how they are. You know what I mean. Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Where are you two going? These people are drinking and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure, there's some good things about them too. Look, I'm the first to say that. I met some now pretty decent, but that's the exception. Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm speaking my piece and you listen to me. They're no good. There's not any one of them that's good. We better watch out, take it from me, this kid on trial. What don't you know about him? Listen to me. And what are you doing? They're trying to tell you something.
I've had enough. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to split your skull. All right, sit down, everybody. I still think the boy is guilty of murder. To me, the most damning evidence is the testimony given by a woman across the street who claims she actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
All right, let's hear her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the open window, and she could look out the window while lying down and see directly into the room across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, able to fall asleep. Then, at around 12:10, she looked out the window and saw the kid stab his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
Frankly, in view of this, I don't see how you could go for acquittal. What do you think about him?
Well, maybe. There's so much of us to sift through.
What do you mean, maybe? He's absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence.
That was my feeling. I don't deny the validity of the points that she made. Shall we say that on one side of the tracks there is a doubt? But what about the story of the old woman? She saw it.
What time is it?
10 minutes of 6.
You suppose they'd let us finish this in the morning? I got a kid at home with Mom.
Not a chance.
Can you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Oh.
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
Well, what do you do when you wake up and you want to know what time it is?
I put my glasses on, look at the clock.
I just lie in bed and wait for the clock to chime. My father gave it to me when he married me, my wife and I. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
Well, do you wear your glasses to bed?
Of course not. No one's eyeglasses to bed.
Well, the woman across the street wears glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course. The woman wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They looked quite strong.
That's right, bifocals. She never took them off.
Funny, I hadn't thought of that.
I think it's logical to say the woman was not wearing her glasses. And I don't think she would put them on and glance casually out the window. She testified that the murder took place the instant she looked out, and a split second later the lights went out. She couldn't have had time to put on her glasses. Perhaps she honestly thought she saw the kid kill the father, but I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does she know all these things?
Does anyone still think there's not a reasonable doubt?
I've always wondered, but there is a reasonable doubt.
I think he's guilty.
Does anyone else?
No, I'm convinced. There's a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
11 not guilty, 1 guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have the right to
Yes,
be
you
heard.
have a right.
Well, I told you. I think the kid is guilty. What else do you want?
Your argument.
I gave you my argument.
We're not convinced. We're waiting to hear them again. We have time.
Listen, you're the guy. You made all the arguments. You can't turn now. A guilty man is going to be walking the streets. A murderer. He's got to die. Stay with me.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong, but I guess I was this once. There is a reasonable doubt in my mind.
We're waiting.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my own opinion. It's going to be a hung jury. That's it.
There's nothing we can do except hope that maybe in a couple months' life you might get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
If it is a hung jury, then there will be another trial, and some of us will point these things out to the various.
All right, all right.
They're waiting. Not guilty.
Not guilty.